Hello friends, welcome to Mushkila Shan. I am Joita Shaha, clinical psychologist. In these times of the pandemic, there has been a lot of uncertainty regarding the jobs people are holding. Many of them have lost their jobs. Many of them are bound to think of their life in a new light. Some people have started their own startups. Some people, after they're losing their jobs, are thinking of going the business way and they are wondering what to do. I'm no economist, so I won't be talking about finances, how to take loans, how to manage loans, how to manage people. How to manage people, definitely I'll talk about, but not the finance part of the business, but the personality traits which might help you in your business. How would you know that you're suitable for doing business? And how would you know how to improve yourself? Which traits to improve upon so that you can start your own startup or start your own business, or in the long run you can have a career in business. There are certain traits which are common to all successful businessmen, and research has proved that these traits, the more they are in a person, the better adjusted the person is to do his business. So today's discussion we would be highlighting on those traits. Maybe you don't have all of them, but few of them all of us have. And we will be trying to tell you about this so that you can improve upon yourselves. Often we see, after having a loss in the business, the person who's doing the business is not that much affected, but his or her partner has become depressed. That is the result of having a certain kind of a personality. The partner's personality was so that that person could not take up the loss. We also have people coming down with depression due to a loss in their business, but what I find strange, the partner reacting to the loss a lot more than the person, and in these cases the partner is depressed and the person who's doing the business is telling me, ma'am, in business there will be always a loss or a profit and I'm prepared. Times might be difficult, but that would change. But the partner is perceiving this as the end of the world. So the traits that is making the person doing the business stronger is not there in the partner. So let's see what are the things which would make you a successful entrepreneur. The skills or the traits that are very important are discipline, creativity, self-awareness, resourcefulness, being process-oriented, being empathetic, communicative, and being self-motivated, confident, flexible. You have to be a go-getter, a risk-taker, and being resilient. This is a very long list. Of course, all of us might not be having all these traits in us, but let's take a look at what these are and if you can nurture them, if you become aware of them. The first thing that I talked about was discipline. When you are working for a company, there are people at the top management level who are taking the discussions, and you just have to do accordingly what they say. They are the ones who are the decision makers and you have to execute those decisions, and there is a module given to you, there is some way that is being said to you and you have to act on that. But in your own company, in your own business, you have to be very disciplined because you have to take the responsibility of each and every action of yours. So if you're not disciplined and if you take rash decisions, if you do not perceive the situation in the bigger picture, then of course you'll have to pay it down the line. Next comes to creativity. Creativity is not about only singing, dancing, and painting and other skills. Creativity is also about out-of-the-box thinking. Creativity is also about having different ways to solve a problem. Creativity is also about being such a positive person that concentrating on the solution more than on the problem. So you need to be creative, you need to think in different ways so that you can solve the problems and so that you can do things rather than keep on worrying about things. Next comes self-awareness. Where are you at this moment? And in 5 years, where do you see yourself? When people ask this question to someone, most of them do not have an answer. They are not aware of their aims, goals, they are not self-aware. But you need to know and you need to be very, very practical about it. Suppose you have an image that within a year you will be at a position which others have achieved in 10 years, then your dreams are going to be breaking big time after 1 year. So you have to be very realistic and you have to be self-aware. And then you have to be very resourceful. If you do not have the proper resources and if you are not a resourceful person, you cannot take decisions. You cannot go on doing the business without resourcefulness. You will be stuck after a few months and you will be incurring heavy losses. And then it has to be process oriented too. Suppose when I bake a cake, there's a definite process which I follow. I might be following the recipe to the T or I might not be. I might be a creative baker, but I should have an idea. I suppose I replace certain ingredients, but I know the replacements that I have done would go with the recipe. So you need to be process oriented. You need to know the methods, what to do after which step is going to come and what you're supposed to do. Then only you will be able to reach your goal. If you're not process oriented and you're only like trying to do things which you think might be good but you're not sure, it's not going to work out. And then you have to be empathetic. When you run an organization, when you work with a lot of people, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the other person too. You need to understand their feelings. You need to be high on emotional intelligence. If you're working with people and you have a lot of laborers working with you, or you have a lot of people, a lot of staff working with you, if your business or startup is such where there are not much people around you and only very few people, then the interaction becomes less. But if it's a interaction where there are a lot of people involved, if you're not empathetic, this is just not going to work. And then you have to be communicative. Communicative as in you have to have very good listening skills. If you do not have listening skills, of course you cannot be a good entrepreneur. You have to cut out deals, you have to meet a lot of people, you have to listen to them, you have to communicate, you have to do everything single-handedly sometimes. And so good communicative skills are very necessary. And then you have to be self-motivated too, because there's no one to motivate you over here. If you're in an organization, there are these motivation workshops, self-help skills, the HR is there, there's a counseling team maybe in certain cases. But when you're on your own, you are your own self-motivator and you have to see it through that whatever decisions you're taking, you execute them. They are just not at the cognitive level. And your confidence should be something which you are proud of, and maybe you're having your own doubts, but if those doubts are visible to everyone, then often it becomes very difficult. So you have to be confident and you have to be flexible too, because if you're too rigid, things are just not going to work out. So you have to be empathetic and you have to be flexible at the same time, and a risk taker too. When I say risk taker, the risk taker as in a person who's taking calculated risk, not a risk taker who is taking such big risk that the company shuts down after 6 months. that is not a very wise choice. So you have to take calculated risk, and sometimes you have to wait for the opportune moment. Sometimes you have to go along taking the risk. So it depends on how much of a risk taker you are. If you cannot take risk, then business is not your cup of tea. And last but not the least, you have to be resilient. You have to have the capacity to bounce back once there are problems, once there are difficulties. You cannot just give up, because once you give up, the company is going to crash. So here, after every problem, after every hitch, you must bounce back, because if you give up, the entire system crashes and the thing dissolves altogether. So resilience is very important. If you want to know more about yourself and what you're suited to do and how to manage your emotions and what not to do and what to do, please keep watching our channel. We are there every Saturday and Sunday with you, coming up with our English episodes. And if you understand Bengali, then we are there 7 days for you at 9 a.m. in the morning. Do subscribe the channel and press the bell button. You'll get notifications in your YouTube feed, and keep watching. And if you like it, do keep sharing too. Thank you.